Tell me a little bit about Necromancers?
So I don't know. I said we would, but you know, I don't know that I want to. You know, it got data mined. You know,
You're
all
salty.
the data miners know exactly what it is, or so they think. So let's let them sit on it for a while and stress. You know, like.
Yeah. Or maybe
that's a good idea.
I think the 90,000 plus people that came here to give you a tattoo.
Yeah, they did do that.
Want to know a little bit about Necromancers.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Okay, thank you.
So, Necromancy and Elder Scrolls lore is all about the manipulation of mortal souls and reanimating corpses. It is very much a taboo kind of art. It's something that is not looked very well upon in the world of Tamriel. In a lot of places, it's outlawed, and we're going to make sure that the Necromancer itself fits and feels that way. So one of the things we're actually doing is we're going to introduce justice reactions for the Necromancer. So if you do something overtly necromantic, NPCs are going to react to it, and they're going to call the guards on you, and the guards are going to come whack you.
That's so cool.
It fits the lore. It makes the world feel believable. And it just makes sense.
Are there other instances outside of cities where NPCs or anything else will interact with you negatively or even positively?
That's something that we're working on and we're looking at. We're not sure if it's going to feel right or not. We know we really like the justice reactions because it makes sense. You know, the general populace is kind of afraid of it. But we'll kind of tune and tweak that as we go and see if we like that or not.
Is that just in Elsweyr? Or is that
is
all of Tamriel?
All of Tamriel. Necromancy is taboo.
They're not a fan.
They're not a fan.
And you were talking about a Necromancer army.
The Imperials, yes. So that's kind of how the story ties in to the Necromancer. And one of the things we just saw really quickly, one of the things we do when we design a new class, and maybe we can bring that back up, is we do these kind of pose studies and the look and feel of the Necromancer. And so you can kind of see this is one of the skill lines for the Necromancer. And it already feels different. You know, the movements are a little bit different, and that ties very well into our goals for the class, where this isn't just a sorcerer with undead pets or a dragon knight with undead abilities. It has its own unique suite of abilities, its own unique set of mechanics, and you know, we want it to feel like the class anybody can kind of pick up and play, but there's kind of this high mastery curve. So one of the things we're doing, you know, pets, for example, the way they're going to feel different is they're more kind of fire and forget, more turret-like, where I summon a skeletal mage on my target, and it nukes my target for a while and then collapses into a pile of bones. Or I summon a skeletal bomber, and he charges into the target and blows up into the shards of bone and leaves a corpse there on the ground. So it fits that lore and that feel of I'm summoning kind of my minion army, and also fits with the lore because necromancy isn't a perfect art. You know, it's really hard to summon a permanent companion or reanimate something for forever. And a lot of times when you do reanimate something, it's not in perfect working order.
No.
So it just kind of, you know, falls apart. And so it feels really good.
I like that. And something, though, that you guys do with a lot of your classes is that there's not just one way to play a Necromancer.
Yeah, there's multiple ways. Like all of our classes, they can tank, they can heal, they can do damage, and each of their skill lines is kind of themed around that. One of the really interesting mechanics behind the Necromancer is corpses. Corpses help power up the Necromancer. So they have some abilities that create corpses, and they have others that spend them. And you can, you know, use them kind of any way you want, but if you cast a spender kind of on another corpse, it's going to power up, and it's going to do extra damage or extra healing. And so it turns that into kind of the strategic moving the battlefield around.
And the corpses only appear by the Necromancer's ability, or if a mob falls and dies.
You can use any corpses.
Any corpses?
Any corpses, yeah.
That's awesome. Oh man, I can't wait to see players break that.
It's going to be fun. I think it has a really cool suite of abilities, and we're really looking forward to what players are going to do with this. And I think my favorite ability thus far is in the tanking line. And it's the Necromancer Ultimate, and they actually get to turn into this big, badass, cool Bone Colossus.
Yes.
Yes, it's awesome. It looks great.
Oh man, I can't wait. I'm looking at my notes here to talk more about the Necro, but you're doing so much about it. Let's talk a bit about the story in the Necromancer and how that's going to be added into the chapter as well. Actually, we've already talked about that. You know what
Okay.
I think is really interesting that we should talk about? What's going on in PvP?